I have been learning so much more about water, and I have to share as I learn with you because I feel like I've been sharing some of not the best information about water. Um, Up until now, I've been promoting distilled and mostly alkaline water and reverse water purified through reverse osmosis. And the more I study about water and intake and hydration, the more I learn that distilled water, reverse osmosis water, alkaline water, any type of chemically treated water is really not the best for us. And the best water for us is actually coming through natural springs and aquifers. Um, I don't think that there's any place on the earth really where ground level water or like rivers or streams or waterfalls are good anymore. That used to be the case before we had pollution and nuclear uh, disasters and accidents and oil spills and things of that nature. So now we can't drink any type of groundwater, but the water that comes through wells and natural springs are really the best for us. What has led me to come to this change of ideology is because I've been exposed to information to learn about what is water versus H2O. H2O is a liquid chemical. And once things are added to the liquid chemicals, it becomes water, water in various forms, whether it's salinated, whether it's potable, whether it's spring water or whatever type of water it is, but it's the adding in of other minerals and other bacteria and algae and things like that that makes water water. The way that we've adapted through the eons has been we have a okay, before I say that, we have a symbiotic relationship with bacteria. Bacteria live in our gut, where 80% of our immune system, our whole immune system, 80% is in our gut and our gut flora, which is lined with certain bacterias. Those bacterias emit um, vitamins and minerals, like for example, vitamin K is pretty much just emitted through the gut flora from certain bacteria that are there. So if we're vitamin K deficient, it could be a gut flora issue. This is why newborns get a vitamin K shot when they're born um, in a standard hospital procedure because the vitamin K comes from the gut. Well, the newborn has been in a completely sterile environment for since their conception, and they've been developing in that sterile environment, so they don't have a gut flora yet. When they're born vaginally, that's their first introduction to bacteria, and that bacteria forms the baseline of their gut flora. Couple that with the breastfeeding, they get their antibodies through that. So they have healthy gut flora developing and they're getting their antibodies through the breast milk. So Mother Nature works really well in that way. It's only been maybe the past less than 100 years that we've been inoculating our children with undigestible, non-bioavailable vitamin K and making that standard procedure. But that's another video for another day. Back to the gut flora. This is just kind of shows our relationship with bacteria. We have bacteria on our skin, we have bacteria in our mouth, we have bacteria for women in our vagina, and that bacteria keeps the yeast at bay. So if we were to have a bacteria-free vagina, yeast and fungus would grow, and that's where yeast infections come about. So when you take a round of antibiotics and you kill all of the bacteria, the yeast then is just free reign and it can grow and get out of control. So that's probably also another video for another day. But I just want to kind of set the tone for bacterias are not evil. Bacteria, we live a a great relationship with bacteria. We just want the right kind of bacteria and in the right quantities. Certain bacteria belong in certain places and don't belong in others, but bacteria in and of itself, they're not evil organisms. So with that said, when we look at chlorinated, sterilized, boiled, chemically treated water, it's devoid of those bacterias and algae and minerals. The way that we've been developing as human beings is when we, okay, in other words, a lot of people know now, finally, that whole foods are more bioavailable in our bodies. When I say bioavailable, I mean actually available to your body to utilize its energy and to break down its nutrients. Most of the chemically derived supplements that you can get at a lot of the popular chains, most of them are urinated out. You don't really get to benefit from those minerals, even though it says it has 100% vitamin C and 100% zinc and 100% this, 100% that. You just kind of take it and pee and poop it out, you know, and your kidneys and your liver are really taxed by these strange chemicals that your body's being bombarded with. It's really hard on your liver and your kidneys, and most of it you just end up excreting and not being able to benefit from. So we're now at a place finally with nutrition that people are understanding that actually it's better to get the nutrition from a whole food, because it's not just, for example, the iron. Your body needs vitamin C to metabolize the iron. It's not just the calcium. Your body needs vitamin D, certain vitamin Ds to break down the calcium. So now what we're seeing is more supplements are kind of like more duals or triples, or kind of like, you know, giving you the nutrients in the common ways that your body is used to accepting them. However, oftentimes it's still not enough, and you're still not benefiting from those chemicals, because not only is it the iron and the vitamin C, but when you eat an orange, there's also enzymes and other types of minerals that your body receives it. There's a genetic memory. Oh, this is an orange. This is how I process this orange. You eat a banana. This is potassium with vitamin A, with vitamin C, with glucose and fructose. This is how I process it. So then your body can set up a chain reaction and emit the right enzymes to really fully utilize the food and then dispose of what you don't need. So in other words, I say our bodies, the reason why we digest whole foods better than we do isolated chemicals, you know, you can extract the caffeine out of the mate leaf, or you can extract the caffeine out of the green tea, and then it's no longer good for you. However, when you drink green tea with the caffeine in it, normally without it being processed, you get the enzymes, you get the balancing effects, you get all of the metabolism boosters, you get all the benefits from the green tea when you drink the green tea as opposed to extracting just the caffeine out, or just any other nutrient or compound that may be found in that tea. I hope I'm not rambling, and I hope that I have not lost you. But the main point that I wanted to show is that when your body receives a whole food, it processes it as a whole food, and you have more of an ability to utilize that intake of that substance fully in your body as opposed to isolated, right? So coca leaves are good, cocaine, bad. It's the same thing with water. So when we get water as it's found in nature through a spring, it has minerals in it, and a lot of those minerals, because it's been traveling from the surface of the earth through layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of bedrock and layers of the earth, right? Along the way, it's picking up magnesium and zinc and iron and trace minerals that are essential for our vitality. And then it comes back up through the spring. And so it's filtered through the rock and then filtered again through through the spring when it comes up again. And so when our body receives this water, since this is the type of water that we developed, that we evolved to the humans that we are today, our bodies can kick into gear and say, oh, that's water. I'm going to hydrate my cells. I'm going to purify my blood. I'm going to, because when we drink water, it goes directly to our blood. It goes directly basically to the bloodstream and becomes our blood. And so then from there, as the blood is going through and doing its work and carrying out dead cells, bringing in new cells, taking oxygen, taking white blood cells where they need to go to fight off infection, it becomes that much more efficient in doing its job. Then it seems like also from my research and my studies that the water is more permeable to the cell membranes because the cells recognize the water compounds as opposed to pure H2O or water that's been machine stripping out certain elements of the water. For example, you know, if you run the water through the alkaline machine, it's separating the more acidic forms of the water and just keeping the alkaline water in hopes that that's going to make the body more alkaline. But that's another conversation for another video as far as what should be alkaline, what should be acidic, etc. So I think the main purpose or the main takeaway is that a low technology approach to water is the healthiest for us because our ancestors thrived drinking this pure, this natural water from the earth. They thrived, and we may never know where these fountains of youth are, but that was, you know, that's been a running theme through many different cultures, is that there's fountains of youth certain places. There's certain communities that live around wells or around springs, and everyone's happy and thriving and robust and never sick and, you know, just look amazing. And people who don't live near that spring are like, what's in it? And what's in the water? You know, what do you guys have that we don't have? And so that's something I think to take a look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to go back and edit all my blogs and different advice where I've talked about hydration, because I still feel very strongly about hydration and the effect of dehydration on us as people as far as our mental, spiritual, physical wellness. However, how we hydrate ourselves is not interchangeable. Like tap water is not the same as alkaline water, is not the same as spring water, is not the same as distilled water, is not the same as purified municipal water. So we have to look at not just, okay, drink a lot of water, yes, of course, but how can we hydrate ourselves fully to where we can drink the water and actually feel like our thirst has been quenched, as far as like, oh, I drank the water, but you know, my skin is still dry, my lips are still dry, my hair is still dry, my eyes are still dry. I'm like not benefiting from drinking this water. And sometimes I think we can look and say, okay, especially with some of my clients, I'm like, there's no way you can be drinking enough water, because why are you still lacking in these areas? Maybe if they are drinking enough water, quote unquote, but maybe it's the quality of the water. Do we ever think about that? So that's something that I'm definitely going to be exploring more in the coming, you know, from here on out. I'm going to be exploring this topic much more in depth because it intrigues me. Another thing that was really important that kind of stood out to me was that, okay, we know that we're about 70% water. And we focus a lot on food. We focus, I would say, as far as in the health, wellness, and nutrition arena, we focus more on food than we do on water, than we do on sunlight, and than we do on movement. Movement is probably neck and neck with food. Movement is probably neck and neck with food. Let's just agree on that. Like, there's some people that focus a lot on fitness, a little bit on food. There's some people that focus a lot bit on food and a little bit on fitness. But food takes up a lot of time and energy and supplements and getting enough nutrition in. And we're 70% water. So you would almost think that 70% of our energy would be focused on getting clean, healthy water and enough of it. And how do we get it? And how do we measure its contents, and how does it affect our body? Because one thing that we've seen is we see people who eat really, really well and they're still deficient in areas. They're still coming up with osteoporosis. They're still anemic. They're not getting enough. And it's like, eat more spinach, eat more beets, juice, do all this stuff. And then we look, oh, you're drinking distilled water, which is void of nutrients and minerals. So I think that's the missing piece. I really, really do. Because if there's magnesium in the water from a natural spring source, magnesium is a very important mineral that can become deficient very quickly because it's responsible for lots of different biochemical reactions in the body, different types of metabolisms and different functions, cell functions. It's like the battery power is the magnesium. So the magnesium gets used up can be very quickly. And then once we're magnesium deficient, then we may go deficient in other things because we don't have the way to metabolize and utilize those things. So you see, it can be a slippery slope down to a place of dehydration and malnutrition. So it's helped me expand my thinking about being deficient and having enough. Because if we've been evolved to accept this water with minerals and algae and bacteria and all these different things in it, and then we drink this chemical form of close to being H2O, and our body's like, what the hell is this? I can't do my job with this. And then we're like, no, you just need to eat better. We've got to spend more energy on water. We've got to spend more energy on sunlight. For melanated people, it's a food. We eat sunlight. I mean, whether you want to agree with me or disagree with me, a lot of the depression and sort of, I'll just say just the depression and different types of disorders, mood disorders that we're having as melanated peoples because we're not eating enough sun. So that's something that we have to spend energy on, as keep on with the nutrition, the whole foods, organic when we can, growing our own foods, going to co-ops and finding local farmers and all of that. I'm all for that. But what I really want to share more with is high quality water and what real water is and how real water can benefit us, and how if you're not meeting your nutritional goals and you're not where you want to be in your wellness journey, looking at your water intake, what kind it is and how much it is, where it's coming from, would be very interesting. So we'll continue to talk about this more. Leave any questions that you have in the comments. I'll get to you as soon as I can, or you can call us at RootMama or email us at info@rootmama.org. Peace and love.